Jamie Murray. While I'm getting your slides and everything ready, if you would just tell a little bit about how you got into fan art and so on and so forth. I was getting drunk in a bar one night. Now, I worked for a television station and was playing around with special effects makeup, and we started using the character on television, and all the Star Trek geeks started inviting me to conventions, and so I started the whole con circuit. And in '92, one of the guest artists was Keith Birdsong, who at the time was doing all of the Star Trek book cover novels. And I loved his style, so we sat down and talked, and he basically showed me the basics of using an airbrush. And I said, oh, that looks kind of easy. So I went out and bought an airbrush and started playing, and then everything happened. It just kind of snowballed from there. I was doing pencil sketches as an extension of my photography, because I was into fashion, glamour, and portraits and stuff like that. But I was always working with simple backdrops, so I thought if I could use my photographs as a reference and then sketch them in elaborate sets, that would be pretty cool. But I was just doing pencil sketches, not painting, and Keith, kicked me in the butt and said, well, play with color, use an airbrush, and so I started doing that. And it was at one of the international Star Trek conventions where some of the beasties came up to me and said, oh, we're doing a convention just down the road from you. You should come because they really like you. And so I went down and had a blast of a weekend, and been doing it from '93 was my first B&B Con, and 2001 I officially retired. 2003 I did San Francisco, came out of retirement, and then this year came out of retirement again because I just can't get away from you guys.
This is a bad thing?
Well, it's not a bad thing. It's just that my body isn't holding up to all you partiers.
It's only 1 week a year.
I happen to have a disc with me, and he said, oh, we can throw some stuff up on the screen. So I have nothing prepared. I don't know what he's going to throw up there, so this is going to be a big surprise. This is one of the earliest things I did. This is Brink Stevens. She's a scream queen, an old friend of mine, and I thought it'd be fun to paint the two of us together. And that's about it with that. And, being a photographer, I would use photo references and then go from there and change a lot of things. That's the first Beauty and the Beast piece that I did for Austin in '93. Just basic, simple. I don't like really doing elaborate backgrounds like architecture and landscapes and stuff. I want to keep it as simple as possible and focus on the people. That comes from my portrait photography background. But most of it's airbrush, and then I would go in and do details with colored pencil, which is the Keith Birdsong technique. You can see in the thumbnails that I did a lot of other science fiction stuff, a lot of films. This one, I was doing a con with it, so I had to do something with Edward, and I thought, the triangle. Oh, Father. He has such a face, doesn't he? This one, I just found out yesterday that this is one of Perlman's favorite pieces. He really liked this. And I was really concerned because I had heard that he hated to talk about ice pirates. And I went, oh God, I put the pirate in there. But I titled this Masks because that's basically what he does. You know, he works in masks. Can you hit on 35 there for real quick? 35. This is one of my favorite pieces. I was doing a lot of Gothic vampire stuff, and this one, technically, I like the best of what I've done. And it just, for me, turned out really well.
the mood, the motion, just, I don't know, everything kind of clicked in that. But the technique, if you can see the original, the technique on it with the colors and the details and stuff, it was just, it was one of those happy pieces that just happened. It was really nice. Adventures of Myhr. There was talk of doing a Myhr comic book. So I was talking with this independent comic book company where Myhr was a time traveler. And the basic reissue arc took place mostly on a pirate ship. And so had the swashbuckler, and then Myhr's wife from the other dimension was in it. And then he met this princess in the pirate era. And it was a cool concept, and the story was really cool, but being an independent comic book company, you know, they didn't have the funds and fell apart, and the project just disappeared. This one, some wacky people decided to do a fan club. So I thought, well, okay, gotta do something for the fans, and so I painted this piece to show the two of me. And it's like the first 100 people that joined got signed prints of this. But I always thought it was kind of cool to have the two of me together. This one is your stereotypical cliche, romantic skyline, the whole bit. I kind of go through whatever photos I can, and while I'm looking at the photograph, lots of times I can imagine the background. And so then I'll sit down and I'll spend an evening doing this pencil work. Because I work a full-time job at a TV station, so I've only got evenings and weekends. I'll spend an evening doing the pencil work, another evening laying down the majority of the base color, and then the third evening doing the detail work. And so I can knock off a piece in 3 or 4 days. That's the joy of airbrush.